Meeting to order, start with pledge. Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any amendments to the agenda?
I have a committee and board report.
And I don't know if we wanna talk about it at the town meeting warrant, but I'd like to talk a little bit about what we saw at the RSU 21 meeting and how we can work it here for our town meeting here.
You wanna just add it under that town meeting warrant?
Yep.
Yeah, I brought the whole thing.
Anything else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So,
Second.
By Dan, seconded by Velma, all those in favor? Public forum. Emily and John.
John, you're up.
Minutes of June 8th.
the motion we approve is submitted.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Phil, to approve the minutes for June 8th. All those in favor? Velma.
I went to the finance committee meeting, and the big thing that they are working on right now is the superintendent search. And they're going through MSNA, and their total expenses through 5/21, they've paid $17,795. And they're being charged $175 an hour. And the overages above and beyond the proposed amount in the RFP as a result of the larger, more expensive search is because they are going with, of course, not only a broader search, but they want more information because they don't wanna run into what they did before. So they're
Background
getting
information.
a lot of background information. And they're not doing a full background check until they come down to the final ones. I think, who was it that said they had 8 and 1 dropped out? I think 2 dropped out, now they have 6. Last I knew they had 6 that they're working on. So,
And they're having a regular meeting tonight,
yeah.
so.
Are anybody on the list from within, that they could save the money on the background check, just knowing that they work within the school?
Don't know, because right now, everything is hush-hush, that you don't know who's
I
on
don't
the
know
list.
anybody, no.
That, and of course, they're also looking for the, assistant superintendent and an assistant principal at Kennebec High School. Because the principal and the assistant principal both retired this year. They wouldn't take back Sue Cressy's information, so she had to retire. And they've already hired the principal at Kennebec High School to take her place.
Anything else on the,
Now, the rest is the warrant, which we'll talk about under town meeting.
Mr. Manager?
Yes, just a couple little corrections, I think, and, first, just to give you a heads up what the hours of operation will be at the town hall for the week of, June 29th through July 3rd. Obviously, we've had to modify the schedule because we've gone to a 4-day work week, so June 29th will be a full day, and the office will be open. The 30th will be a half a day, as we'll be closing the books for the end of the fiscal year. And then July 1st will be a full day. July 2nd will be actually our holiday, because the 3rd, which would be the day before the 4th, obviously is a day off. So, short week for that week, but we will be open for some work going on there. In addition to that, I have to correct some things that happened at the budget meeting the other night. I had looked at the initial sheet that came in the budget binder, and had shared it with John, but, all this.
Sharing the blame
But
here.
all this was, he didn't pick up on it either, but all this was telling us exactly what the total amount that we were borrowing was, not the interest that would be accruing. So then, they sent me a summary letter and provided to me the general resolution and the payments out, so obviously we will have two payments of interest only in this fiscal year coming up. That totals just under $61,061,936.86. I believe that John had initially reported that, and I think you had built it into the original budget at 62,000, so.
Yeah, I did, and then I took it out when I got the
Right.
note.
Yeah, I know.
Now
So
it's
did
back
I.
in again.
But it's back in, so when you establish and set the tax rate, obviously that will have to be raised as well, so.
Is that an article here in the?
There's no article, you've already approved the bond,
Oh, okay, yeah.
so it's just an automatic, funding that we have to require to make sure that we calculate it and we
Okay.
collect our money, so, those are the two things I had.
That was easy. All right, approval of our annual town meeting warrant.
Yeah, I think I've given you another final, this is the one that we presently have ready to go to print. Simone is putting together the town report now, and it includes the numbers that we discussed at our previous budget meeting. Those haven't changed, and the only additional things that you really hadn't had a chance to really review, and the exhibits was the land use ordinance pieces that was being requested by the planning department, or the planning board.
Why do they think they wanna add the town assessor to the staff review committee?
They needed an extra body, and I guess they were gonna use the assessor to do staff review.
Okay. It says, or their designee, should, yeah, I suppose it should designee or designees.
Well, Tom, I haven't looked at any of the land use stuff, if you had a chance to go through any of that
I've
stuff.
gone through some of it, most of it's definitional, as you can see.
Yeah,
Either adding definitions or changing some of them,
Yeah.
very exciting. The only thing I saw, and Keith's provided us with, the amendment to the section dealing with, petitions.
Yep.
Which I think, after our discussion, with respect to what was originally proposed, and Leah looked at it, I think she's arrived at the conclusion that paragraph B is all you can do on the state law. Paragraph, not the D.
yeah, paragraph D.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's Article 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I make a motion, we approve the town warrant as submitted?
I'll second that.
Motion by Dan, second by Tom. Any more discussion on this? All those in favor?
I have an original here, I'll just, pass it along.
Alright, we got an update on Brimstone and Limerick Road.
Yes, Roger spoke to the folks at Sebago Technics, indicated to him that the cost to perform a survey to identify the line between 877 and 885 Limerick Road would be approximately $1,500. The money to pay for that, if so approved by the board, would come out of the road construction money that's been set aside for that intersection project. There's about about 56,000 that's remaining in that account right now. What I would envision if you approve that would be that would be the first step of a few steps here to complete some sort of transaction yet. Number one, to identify that lot line. The next step would be to put together some paperwork to develop a consent decree between the parties relative to that sliver of land out front, which would be conveyed to the town. And then that material would have to be recorded. I've spoken to Attorney Reed, Bruce Reed, who's representing the buyer, and indicated to him what was happening here and how this process, I believe, would unfold. It's not I didn't want people to think that it was gonna be a quick process, other than if given the authority, we'll move forward and make the corrections to the, and then bring paperwork back for you folks to sign in terms of the consent decree. So, I think what we need tonight is whether or not you wish to spend the money to do the lot line. And then that would give her, or the property owner of that lot, a complete defined lot, surveyed lot of her entire property. Because we've got the other three sides already done as part of the intersection project. And the rear piece was the piece that was not done. So, I think that's where we are with this project.
Well, I think Roger wants this done so that he can go forward with the project.
Well, it will help us just pass another hurdle. And then it's, obviously, we're not going to spend money there unless there's a contingent or agreement that the consent decree, which I believe parties have, but I think we'd have to get more of a formal okay between the potential buyer as well as the existing owner of the property, so everybody knows. We'd have to get some sort of okay that if we're gonna spend the money, that they're gonna enter into this agreement, either or of them, so we can move forward with it.
So the only extra money that would spend there is the $1,500 to do the back lot. Really,
Yeah,
the rest has to be done anyway, right? Whether, we pay them for a sliver of property or what have you, I mean, the consent agreement, even at that point, is still a non-conforming lot, right?
Correct. But I think this is a way of actually getting that piece and then giving the potential owner, and then the present owner, something that, they needed to have done, that they wanted done, so it would accomplish that.
I'm certainly on board with that.
Why don't we go to Sebago Technics rather than BH2M? Because they already did the work.
Well, it's BH2M.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry,
All right.
I thought it was Sebago Technics, but it's the BH2M, you're
Okay.
right,
Right.
my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have reinvented the wheel.
No, I wouldn't think so.
I'm sorry about that.
But, consent decree, that troubles me, I think we've gotta take this
Okay,
by agreement, pay them, we'll pay $1,500, if that's what the board agrees to, but I think we should do a notice of taking, but we gotta get a description of that
okay,
little
little sliver.
sliver of triangular piece.
Could they do that with the survey?
Well, that's what I'm suggesting, but we should have a formal description and do a notice of taking, you describe the property. And
Describe the property that we're gonna be taking.
Correct, and that's what you would record in the registry.
Isn't that kind of what I had mentioned a while back? Maybe on different terms, but
I don't know how we do a consent decree,
Yeah, I mean,
We
you know,
can't,
I said we should take that by eminent domain.
that's what we do, yeah.
Right, and it's like, it's been that way for, I'm gonna use 100 years again, but, you know, at least that, and, I don't know the proper way to do that, but that should be, that's.
Tom is good at taking credit for other people's ideas and thoughts anyway, so.
Yeah.
He does it to me all the time, so.
Hey, anytime you can, you know.
That's what good lawyers do, Tom's a good lawyer.
Just because they word it differently, it's all, you know.
So, steal it if you can.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that, I mean, we gotta do that, to
So-
say that that's a goodwill thing to do that survey anyways, right, just,
Right, and I think that would be part of, as you said, the notice of taking and the description of that sliver that we're going to get, so VH2M can provide us the lot line and then give us a description of the sliver, and then we'll go ahead and put something together that will be signed by all parties.
you know, I mean, the last time it sounded like the current owner was aware of it and he was okay with it. He was okay that that's really not gonna be his
Right.
land, he just wanted as a good faith or whatever, to just show me what the back lot is.
Well, I think the sense I got is that there was more to this issue, and because Bruce Reed, I think, was under the impression that the town was going to be putting up a fence. And I explained to him, no, there'll be no fence being installed by the town. So I think what's happening here is that the person who's gonna purchase it, she has young grandchildren, and she's gonna want a fence up. So there may be a deal within the purchase of it to make sure that the fence goes up. So I think, the other piece of this is that they want the survey so they can identify actually the property lines and where this fence will be installed. So, but I told them that we don't have anything to do with the fence. It's not our deal.
I'll make a motion that, you know, we spend, how much is it? 15?
1,500?
Yeah, we spend the
Did
1,500.
they already do some of the survey on that sliver?
Yes,
So
yeah,
it's
and I
already
think,
done.
I think they can provide us a description of it, based on some of the work they've already done.
Think that might be included in the 1,500?
I'll have to find out,
Probably not,
maybe a little bit more.
no.
But I think we ought to identify who we're gonna be dealing with here.
Okay.
Whether it's present owner, prospective owner, and get an agreement, with them to the effect that they're not gonna oppose the taking in exchange for the survey line.
Okay,
The survey line and getting it all recorded properly in the deeds.
Probably have to talk to Leah about putting together the appropriate notice.
You need that as part of the motion?
You better amend the amount then.
well, it'll be for the lot line and any other legal,
Yeah, I mean,
information that we
we're gonna
need.
spend it anyways, so I mean, at this point, you know, so my motion will be that we go ahead and spend whatever it takes, less than $5,000.
Yeah.
It's gonna be that.
You know, it just covers us, right?
Yeah.
And that leaves us enough to do the rest of the work on the intersection.
I think so, according to, I think that's the way he was envisioning it, because CMP is going to change the power lines on their dime. The only thing that will delay or hold things up would be obviously, whether, the phone company and the cable company gets there in a timely manner and moves their stuff off those poles so we can take the poles out. That'd be a limiting factor there.
Well, I'll second that then.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Velma. Any more discussion on this? All those in favor?
You got sealed bids for the,
Sealed bids, fire truck and rec bus. Looks like we have two. Well,
Yeah.
3 total, but
right, we got 2 on the bus and 1 on the truck,
this one has both, so,
right?
This is sealed bid from Asian Auto Services, Plastow, New Hampshire. 1991 engine pumper for $3,632.12. And the 2007 bus, $3,632.12.
3,000 what?
632,
So they're both identical.
okay, both identical, yeah.
And 12 cents.
12
12 cents.
Wow. Brandon.
$3,632.12.
I've seen guys win bids for 50 cents.
Yeah.
Wow.
This one looks like just the bus.
Yep.
This is for $505 even, from Todd and Jennifer Shea.
He's trying to steal it.
Yeah,
He'll probably sell it to the RSU or,
no, they'll sell it to that guy for $3,212.
those are the two bids we have.
That's it?
Yeah, before you act on them, I don't know how we wanna handle that fire truck. If you sell it to these folks, that 3,612, $3,632.12 will go into the capital reserve for the fire department to be utilized for their services. If you don't sell it, we have the opportunity to change or switch that engine for a body for the international dump truck that we have, the surplus truck we got from the military. That was $4,800 for the body. So we could use it to do that, or spend the money to go back into
The motor's all fixed?
Huh?
The motor's all fixed?
Yeah. Yeah, we just gotta put the body on it. And Roger mentioned that to me today, he says, if it doesn't bring 4,800, ask them if they wanna use it for something else. So I figured, I said, yeah, I will, but
And then what do we do with the rest of it?
with the rest of what?
The rest of the truck, if we just take the body?
Oh, no, the truck's going, the truck will go to McLean for $4,800, and we'll get the body for the truck, for the dump truck. If we don't do that, then Roger's gonna have to come up with $4,800 someplace else. And then we sell it to Asian Auto for $36,32.12, and the money will go into the fire department account.
So if we don't sell it, both vehicles gonna go to McLean, and they're gonna do the body swap?
No,
I'm confused.
no,
Yeah.
the body is here now. We have the body. We haven't paid for it yet.
Okay,
So he was looking to try to make a swap for the engine and the body. Cause the body was gonna be $4,800, so he didn't know what you were gonna do with the truck, the fire truck. That was his thought, but it's not his call, it's not his to deal with. So if you go ahead and sell it to Asian Auto, it's fine. He'll find the funding somewhere else to pay for the body, so. I think, if you're asking me, that, they don't, in the past, we've used it for public works when they needed a truck to do watering and stuff like that. They've already passed on that. So it would be my recommendation that the truck stays with the fire department, and if you release it, the money would go back to the fire department for their use, as opposed to the public works. That would be my recommendation to you all.
So you're saying we keep it?
We're gonna sell it to Asian Auto for
Oh.
$3,632.12,
Okay.
and that money will go to the fire department's capital fund for their equipment.
Roger will come up with
You'll
48.
have to come up with 48 someplace else.
We're losing $1,200 I keep.
Yeah,
We are. But you gotta talk about which department you're talking with.
Yeah.
Where would the bus funds go?
The bus funds will go into the capital reserve for the bus.
well, first of all, I'll make a motion that we sell the bus
yeah.
to Asian for $3,632.12.
He didn't make those contingent one on the other, did he?
No.
I was gonna say, if we keep the fire truck, will he still pay that for the bus?
Well, he's gonna get one. I think he at least knows that. cause he didn't put any contingency in it, so if we accept his bid, then I guess he can walk away without.
He's not giving you that one price for both vehicles, Jason.
No,
is
he's
he?
he's got it labeled, and E1 pumper and 2007 bus
Yeah.
with a line.
Pretty good money for the bus.
I think so too. I think we let the bus go.
It ain't a lot for the truck.
No,
So how would-
unfortunately.
how would we transfer the fire truck from the fire department to Roger, so Roger could do,
Well, the truck is owned by the town of Arundel,
Yeah.
so we can do whatever we so desire with it. In the past, we've turned those trucks, those vehicles over to the public works, cause they've utilized it another way,
Yeah.
saved us money. And I think that he was just looking for another way of doing it, but I think I'm with Phil, I don't think there's enough, I don't think we got enough money for that engine. I don't even think at 4,800 we're getting enough for it.
Yeah, I don't know what, really, the only good is the motor probably, huh?
Yeah, but, I mean, if you go online and look at these 1991 engine trucks, they're selling for a ton more money than that.
Yeah.
So, we may wanna pass on that and then maybe put it back out to bid and see if we can get some more money for it. I think we missed out on sending it to the auction. We may have made a little more money if it had gone to auction. What do you think, Phil? It'd have been a gamble.
I'm not sure you'd have made more money. I've seen, a few fire trucks at the auction. They don't bring much.
Okay.
I'm not sure that we'd even match that.
Okay.
I've seen some go for $1,000 or $1,500.
So you,
but we're getting more for the bus than what it's really worth, so if you take the two of them together, we're getting over $7,000 for the two vehicles. So the pumper may be worth more, but the bus is actually worth less. So for $7,000, I think we'd be getting our money's worth for both, if we sold them both together.
If you give it to Roger, it's $8,500. If you know, 48 and 36.
right, you'd use the money to trade off on the body for the dump truck.
My motion second?
You got a motion on the bus,
On the bus,
but I don't have a second.
Oh,
So you look, the motion is for Asian auto, accept Asian auto.
Yeah.
For the bus, yeah.
the bus.
I'd second on the bus.
Okay,
Seconded by Phil. Any more discussion on the bus? All those in favor of accepting Asian Auto's bid for the bus?
that's a great deal.
Then I think we should then let Roger take the truck and do some good accounting with the truck.
Make the swap
Yeah.
body for the,
But
Yeah,
what's the chief think about
oh,
losing
I don't think he's too
3,600
happy
bucks?
about it.
oh, that's right,
But then again, he can't squawk very much, he's got a $500,000 truck.
yeah.
Brand new truck that they used, he told me yesterday they've used it on 3 fires already.
So, I mean, it may be a bitter pill for him to swallow, but I think I can massage it down.
I mean, we certainly wanna do what's best for the town, I think, you know, I'm not gonna squabble over even like $1,200, you know, if it's better for the town, so be it, but, yeah. I don't care either way, honestly.
But I think that the pumper should go to Roger so that he can.
Well, all you'd have to do then on this motion would be to reject Asian Auto's bid of 3212, and then we'll move on to the next step.
Okay, I make that a motion, that we reject their bid.
Motion by Velma. Seconded by
I'll second.
Dan. All those in favor of rejecting Asian Auto's bid for the fire truck?
Thank you.
So we still own the fire truck.
We still own the fire truck.
So I think it's up to you and,
Roger and
the chief and Roger to decide what you're gonna do with the fire truck.
We'll do that.
And get moving on it pronto.
Yeah.
Emily, floor's yours.
Okay, so, before I start on, the hours, I did want to let you guys know, I'm sure you're aware, but just in case some of you are not, we have hired someone to replace Simone. She starts on Thursday, this Thursday. She had to give a 2-week notice. She's currently in banking, has done a ton of customer service, has had some municipal experience, 2016, for a short time, in a neighboring town, but it was a part-time position, so she had to leave for a full-time position. So there is some experience there, which is good. As Keith has told you guys, we had a ton of resumes, not a lot with experience as far as municipal, but we did have a couple, and she seemed to be the best fit with regard to personality and just fitting in among us, considering we all have to work with this new person every day. So that's good. I'm excited about that.
And her name?
Jessica
McPherson.
McPherson.
And she's from, did somebody say she was from Lyman?
She is from Lyman,
She's
yep,
Lyman now.
and she currently works at Camden National in Kennybunk, but she had to give him a 2-week notice. So unfortunately, the downside to that is that she only gets really 2 full days with Simone
Yeah.
for training. Simone has offered to come in and on the important dates of leaning and all that process, because none of us know how to do that other than her. So she's gonna have to come back in and essentially train this person on how to do that. So and hopefully in that process we can all kind of train with her as well, because we all want to be cross-trained. It just makes it much easier in a transition like
Yes.
this, when someone who's had this role
Yep.
for so long and always done it, if moving forward, we can all be trained in it. So that's the goal. Still looking for workers at the election, struggling with that a little bit. Nancy said she was on, so that's good. A lot of my workers now, really, there's some issue where they can't make it happen, and that's okay. Still picking away at that, but I'm hopeful. We did get a bunch of considerations to look into from the state regarding setting up the gymnasium, because that's where we'll be this selection. As far as the social distancing, the screens we'll be using, the PPE equipment, the 6 feet. I do have some new quad, they're called quad booths. So there's obviously 4 in a section, and I have 7 of them, but I can only use 1 of the quads. So I gotta tape off the other 3, just to still maintain. I can only have 50 people in the building at once, so there'll be a lot of tape everywhere, and arrows, and
How about pens?
pens. So the suggestion for that was either have the ballot clerks, when they disperse their ballots, give them a pen and take it on the way out, or throw the pens in a bucket and wash them and put them back out for reuse. If the state's providing them, I might just say take the pen.
Yeah.
That's usually what they do. They provide the pens, which is nice, so I don't have to worry about it. I mean, you can get a box of pens for $1, so I think might just have them take it instead of, that's one less thing we have to worry about while we're there. Although I do consider it to be a mild election, considering right now we have over 220 absentee ballots, which is big for us. So that's good. So hopefully it will be a slow election. What else did I want to tell you? That might be it. So the agenda says discussion of hours of operation. So far we have seen a good turnout on the hours as far as the morning time. So this morning we opened at 6 a.m. Our first customer came about 7:05, 7:10, and we were steady until like 5 o'clock, like nonstop. So people are definitely utilizing the hours. We see more people coming in first thing in the morning when we open early. I wouldn't say the first day was 6:30. A lot of people were there, but it's definitely 7 o'clock is when they start coming, when we open at 6:30. And at night, they are coming as late as 5:30, sometimes 6:30 once in a blue moon. So my hope was that you guys would consider keeping the hours 4 days a week, but changing the hours to just modify them from the schedule we have now, starting so early and ending so late, to 7 to 5:30, Monday through Thursday. So we'd still essentially be working 10-hour days, with Fridays being closed to the public as we are now, and moving forward into the new building as well. So that's what I'm proposing to you guys. Any questions, thoughts? What do you think would work, not work? I did talk to the staff about what their thoughts were. Most of them are on board. It's more, I guess that my proposal would be to everyone who sees the public. You know, so that's where I'm at with that. They all know I'm here tonight asking you guys, but I don't know what your thoughts are and what you think of it and how we'd move forward.
Has there been anyone complaining at all about not being open on Friday?
I personally haven't heard it because I'm not there on Fridays.
Right, I'm there on Fridays, along with the deputy treasurer, and we've had a few people come to the door, we've met them, we've told them, sorry, we're not open on Friday. They seemed okay with it. Well, I had one gentleman who really wanted to register his vehicle, and it was the only day he had off, but I noticed that his wife came in the following week to register his vehicle, so he was able to make an accommodation to get it, but very few people have complained about not being open on Friday.
And the
And
complaint could have been just that they didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Right.
the voicemail message when you call the town hall now says what our hours are, and it does say we're closed on Fridays. If people actually listen to it, you know, and that's you know. But if you know someone's extension, you're just going to dial it without listening to the opening message. So it is there. It's on the website for now what our hours are, but.
Now Lisa's hours are different?
Lisa, I think prefers to do the 5 days a week, and she doesn't see the public. She never has to meet with the public. So that's where I'm at with that.
Probably good for her to have a day where there's like not a lot of activity.
Considering what she does, I would agree with what you're saying, because when it gets really loud and chaotic and busy, I think she has a lot on her plate anyway in general. I think for her, a quiet day is necessary, but that's just what I think.
Yeah, right now she doesn't have a door, so the curtain gets pulled.
Yeah, and I mean, that only muffles sound so
That doesn't get rid of
much.
the sounds when you're trying to concentrate and make sure you're balancing books and things like that.
And what about Wendy?
Wendy's on board, 100%.
So there would be 4 days a week for Wendy also.
Yep.
Is that a concern at all?
Is there an emergency number if someone had to
Yes.
get a?
Wendy provides her number.
Yeah.
Has been very, very good about
Yeah.
getting hold of
Okay.
mean,
weekends and
yeah.
things like that. She's super that way, so that's worked out
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, I had mentioned, if it was last meeting on the week before, you know, could we keep these hours? You know,
Yeah.
The 4 days a week, 10 hours, you know.
The staff really
pretty
likes
nice
it.
hours.
The staff does.
Now, would you do that year round?
That's what our thought was. That was a consensus. We don't want to do, because then it just confuses the public.
Yeah.
And we don't want to do that anymore, because with our phone systems being down, that was a struggle. But now that they're back up and running, you know, that we can change the voicemail system very, very easily without losing the phones and when we do it. So that's important. And with John always being so good about putting my messages on the internet,
Yeah.
thank you. That's helpful. But people just need to utilize those too in order to know our office hours. And then we can put it on the door. But yeah. What do you guys think?
I'll defer to you.
I think if it works for you, it works for you and the girls, I'm fine with that, I don't have a problem.
It does work for us, but I obviously, the goal is to not make it more complicated for the public, because we're there to serve them, but at the end of the day, we feel that getting people before work
Yeah.
at 7, or even right now 6:30 in this case, currently, and getting people when they, you know, get out of work at 4:30, at least they can make it there by 5.
That was always the key for me, is like,
Yeah.
I gotta leave work early, cause I gotta get to town.
Yeah,
and
right,
now
right,
that
right.
just extends the hours and makes it
So, I
a
mean,
little bit more palatable.
I think it would be great, but also, you know, I need to make the public, they need to think it's great. So, That's my pitch.
7 to 5:30.
Monday,
Through Thursday.
right, cause
Monday
that's,
through Thursday.
that's 10.5 with a half hour for lunch, right?
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
And that would start after the town meeting on the 15th.
Well, that was my thought, cause I think initially we had said we'd keep the hours that we have now till town meeting, and then
Yeah.
ultimately, flip them back, but,
And you can always announce that at town meeting also, that
Right.
the hours of the town hall are gonna be changing.
right.
Do you need a motion from us for that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Your call.
Yeah, I think we can make the call, but we just, we weren't gonna make the call. We had some strong opposition from
Right.
you folks.
And you're still doing 5 days a week?
Yeah, I'm generally in there 5 days a week.
Generally.
I don't mind. No respect.
So what about Tad and the CEO?
CEO works 4 days a week now, so it'd be Tad and the assessor.
Yeah,
So, we'll talk with them. I think the uniqueness that they're going to experience is that when we go to the new building, they're gonna be on the first floor. People are gonna be able to see them. So I think it's gonna be to their advantage to go to 4 10-hour days as well, to be there for the public when the public walks in and ask questions. And we'll also, at that time, they'll also have a support staff sitting out front, making their schedules, setting up their times, making sure they get their phone calls returned and all that kind of stuff. So I think it would be a good transition for them to get ready for that.
thank you.
Thanks, we'll let you know.
We forgot to expand on
Yeah,
Town meeting.
I wrote it down anyway, so.
we'll just bring it up now.
So, Velma was there, Emily was there, and Jason was there at the RSU 21 meeting, budget meeting, and saw how they were, which is good, cause they were in a different room. I was in the main room and they were in
The library.
the
Yeah.
I mean,
library.
the
Yeah, library.
Yeah, and so there was only, I think there was only 2 rooms, right? They didn't have a third room, did
No, there
they?
were 4 rooms. There was cafeteria,
Okay,
outside,
Library,
library, and
gym.
gym.
okay.
They had people outside.
Yes, right,
Okay. So what they did is, they had a laptop with a camera, and that laptop recorded what was going on. They also had word recognition. Did you guys see that?
yes.
So they had speech recognition, so as somebody was talking, it was, printing out the words so that people could read.
All of which was done on the smartboard.
Cardboard,
Okay.
yep.
Right, so I went to Jamie and asked him if it could be done here, and he said, absolutely, no problem. So I said, well, somebody from the town might get with you, we'll discuss. But from what I saw, one of the things that if we do it in this town, I think we need to do something to make it a little bit quicker and not so cumbersome for Durwood or whoever's gonna be our moderator.
Yep.
Because what would happen is, they would, an article would come up, any discussion, and then, you have to wait, you didn't know if somebody was coming, and one time they started voting on it before the individual had it, by the time he got to the podium, although here it's pretty close, but,
Right.
we could have somebody on standby to say, hey, hold on, somebody's coming, and then when the vote tally happened, Durwood would, he was way over here, and they would count in our room, and they would count in the other room, and he'd walk all the way over, and then walk all the way back, and we gotta make that connection a little quicker, a little,
Yeah,
but this would be much smaller, so I think as long as we have the right people set up in place to do that, I think we could do it very well, but.
Yeah, cause you'd have to be in the
right, and then I have to have, they end up having Jason happened to be the runner, for my room. He was running back and forth, giving his numbers from our room, and then finally they gave us walkie-talkies.
Right,
To kinda make it easier, so you could radio it to the, the person who was collecting all the numbers. That made it go a little bit quicker, but like you said, I had someone coming from my room wanting to speak, and they're already doing the second, and I'm like,
right. Right,
That was
and
hard.
that's why I think if we, even here, even though it was this close, we still have the walkies that say, hey,
yes,
somebody wants to speak, so we stop, we wait, we have an individual monitoring that, and, I think we can make it.
and that might be also just us saying to Durwood, cause he already said he would do it, just to take a little bit more time like, as far as when there comes to a motion like that, maybe under something that's sensitive, that you
Right.
know might be an issue, like with the SRO, that was the issue.
Oh, geez,
that,
yes.
I don't
That
know,
was wonderful.
yeah, just, okay, have a little bit of awareness of what might trigger
Right.
a discussion.
Yeah, and.
How long did that take, 30, 40 minutes to go?
That was like at
through
least
that?
an hour, I
Oh,
think.
yeah, we were,
Yeah.
we were close for an hour, at least on
Yeah.
just that one article.
But the trouble there is it triggered it for every other article after that, remember? The same group would get up.
The same group would get up and say the same thing over again on, didn't
We
even
didn't leave
have
till 10
anything
o'clock
to
at
do
I
with
like
that
the
warrant
part about
article.
the debt service,
Yeah.
how they get up with the debt service.
So, you know, we're close enough, tight enough here, I don't think we'll be more than, you know, it might be just enough in there, but I don't think we'll be more than this, just this room in additional.
Well, if somebody actually wants to talk on a warrant article, they can begin their journey down
Yes,
down the hallway
Right.
to be
Right.
prepared to talk about it,
Yeah.
correct?
right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there was somebody
Yeah.
in
They
the,
don't have to wait till the last minute.
there was somebody at the door, supposedly that was holding people where they needed to be before they could go in and speak at the microphone.
And that screwed everybody up, because I don't know if Durwood wasn't aware of it, but there would be so many people congregated to speak
Yeah.
that all the rooms lost track of how many people were in the room, so when the time came to vote,
Yeah.
there was 40 people in the hallway that never got cast.
You'd have to make sure and try to figure
So
out
it
who
was like-
left your room,
Yeah,
you're like, and they'd be
So
like,
you
why did
almost-
you go? And you're like,
So you had to leave the room to go into the main room to make a comment.
yes.
Right,
right.
So it was
And then-
just
and-
hard.
And the article, the contention was, there were only 2 speakers, and then an individual got up and made a motion to move the article. After only 2 speakers, and it's like, people were all upset, and there was a line of, but that got voted down.
Yeah.
So then more people spoke, and then they moved the article after that, but it's like, come on, give a chance for the public to talk here.
Right.
You
no, they
know?
made another motion to move the article.
Right, but that
Yeah.
had been after enough people had spoken,
Yeah.
we're kinda hearing the same thing over and over
Yeah.
again, so that was good, but I think the point was that Durwood would need to know, and we're small enough here, I believe that we can do that, especially if we have a few people with walkies,
Yeah.
or just holler down the hall or something, right?
Well,
That-
we-
Yeah.
it'll be great to be prepared for this, but based on the absentees that she's had, we may find that our town meeting may not have 50.
Yeah,
right.
fair enough, but it would kinda be a
Right.
pain in the ass if
Oh,
60
no, we
people
gotta-
showed up.
No, we gotta be
Now
prepared
what
for
do we do?
it, but,
Yeah.
you know, the best scenario for us would be that everybody can be in the room.
So
Yeah.
how many people do you think we could get in this room?
There was
Keeping
6 feet
social
difference.
distance,
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
20,
maybe.
24 maybe?
Yeah, because they would have 2 chairs together here, 1
Then you have a
chair,
single, right?
a single
They
over
had,
there.
they had some 3 chairs, they had some, you know, they
Yeah.
had 2, 3s and singles set out
Yeah.
all over the place.
So we're gonna, like, we'll literally measure this out,
Yeah.
Have to.
so we'll have to set, okay,
And, you know, you can put people back there also, or,
Yeah.
okay.
And we'll have, well, you'll be here for the 14th,
Yeah.
and so,
And I don't know if it would be possible, but another thing that would help is if somebody was in this, this room was an overflow room, if somebody knew the articles and could explain the articles if there was a question, because
Yeah,
there was one time when a vote was cast and then an individual in our room had a question as to what they were voting on and how the vote was going.
it's like the yes
Like,
means
what
no,
does
no
yes
means
mean, what
yes,
does
sort
no
of
mean,
like,
Yeah.
after the vote had already been, so you had
Oh.
to completely start over, and it wasted like 20 minutes. It
yeah, that was on a,
That was on,
Like a debate,
that
if
was
we're
on to
gonna-
move the motion.
yeah, if we're gonna limit
Yeah.
debating
They
or
were gonna move the
not.
motion,
Yeah.
Yeah.
people were
Trying to-
confused
half-
on what that
yeah,
meant.
half the room thought a no vote meant, no,
No,
we didn't
yeah.
wanna move the motion, but actually, an actual yes vote meant, you know what I mean?
Like-
If someone was in this room to explain it, it would be, I don't know if one of us could be in here, but
Yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, something to think
It's all
about,
gotta go through the moderator.
does it?
Yeah.
I don't,
yeah.
Right, and I think that's why we maybe tell Durwood, or have somebody here saying, is anybody in this room, are they okay, are we okay to move forward, and we let Durwood know, and Durwood can continue on to call the vote.
No, and then people say, hey, listen, if you know you're gonna speak on something, if you know you're gonna make a comment on something or ask questions, you need to be prepared to be
yeah.
out in the hallway and ready to kinda go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cause I think that might make it easier too, because it was hard.
The highest number of people that voted was 143.
Yeah.
And I think some of those numbers were, a couple of miscounted about.
I might have,
well, you couldn't help it, because
Yeah.
people were, like, going to the bathroom, you'd lose their vote, and then you don't know if they even came back to that room. It was like,
Now, did you give out cards to registered voters?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay,
everyone got this bright green card,
okay.
in like a big index card.
So I think we need to make sure that we get with Jamie, make sure we have the right equipment.
Yep,
I'm not sure what he used for software for the word recognition, but we ought to be able to use the same thing that he used over there. And it's a pretty simple setup, so.
is there anything, I haven't looked at the warrant, like land use wise, that you kinda looked over that might draw other attention? Really?
I think you're gonna have a lot of discussion on those land use pieces.
Always do.
Yep.
Okay, so, alright.
So,
prepare for
there
that.
should be a planning board member here, and obviously there should be
Well,
somebody.
again,
from the
any discussion needs to happen over there through the moderator,
Correct, I understand.
right? So, if somebody has a question here, I'm opposed to having somebody here explaining stuff that not everybody else can hear.
Well, that's true too.
They need to go over there, get on the mic so that everybody can hear it and make that discussion
Yeah,
go back and forth.
that's true,
Legally, I
too.
don't think that's right anyway,
Yeah.
but.
and somebody has to be at the mic with their wipes, because every time someone would get through talking, you
Mhm.
hear when they wipe off the microphone.
Okay.
It was super fun.
that was fun.
So,
Make
that
decisions.
was their first experience.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can understand.
They did
there's
a good
some-
job,
you know,
considering.
Yeah, they didn't know what to expect. and-
wow,
and
it was-
We can learn from it and make it better
It
here.
was a learning experience. Well, we had met, the clerks had met with Steve Markey,
Yeah,
like a week earlier about how we were gonna run that. And when we got there, it was not like we talked about. So that was also like a shock to us clerks, because we weren't outside, there was no room outside. And the whole running around thing was not what we talked about, so that was even, I went in there and we just wung it.
Well, we're gonna set it up the way you wanna see it run, so.
It was like, ooh,
We don't have any secret ballot stuff either, so
yeah, that was fun too.
that was a mess.
Oh, that's right, that one article.
They had to put their-
About-
They had to put it like right here.
And people didn't wanna touch, they didn't want me to touch your paper, so they had to put it on the floor, pick it up, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
God.
But then people were still speaking, and then once it's in the bucket, it's in the bucket. I'm like, I can't find what,
Yeah.
I wanna change my vote. I was like, sorry,
Late.
too late.
Well, thanks for the encouragement.
But I'll tell you something, in our
That's what we're gonna
room,
have, I'll have a few more discussions on this.
nobody
one.
took their mask off in our room,
No.
took through that whole
No, everyone was
meeting,
really
that whole
good.
time, they kept their masks
Yeah.
on. I
Yeah.
left my iced tea out in the car, I thought, I can't take that with me, because then I have to take my mask off to take a drink.
I kept
so-
going like this and drinking my water.
Yeah,
It was so hot.
Same thing in the gym, everybody kept their mask.
Yeah. Yeah, we could see on the,
So do you think on the website that, because I know for my, for election day, it's been recommended that I make a sign, kind of outlining what's expected. I can't turn anyone away for not wearing a mask, but I can strongly encourage it and what to expect when they go in. Should we do the same for town meeting, or do you think people will just know
Well,
that they should be?
I think we ought to tell them that.
Can't assume it.
Well, we have these signs that we put up that say stop wearing masks
Yeah.
and safe distancing. I
Well,
think we
I
can use
think we
those
need
for the
to-
open piece.
We need to say that we're limited with the space in the gym, and any
Mhm.
overflow will happen over here,
Okay.
and we'll have, kind of explain that we'll have people available for, to get up and go talk, or.
So I'm gonna ask my staff to come that night to work the rooms and count the people, cause I'll be registering voters
yeah,
that night that night. So I'm gonna need some extra help, some extra hands.
Speaking of which, you need extra hands setting up the chairs and everything?
I don't know, we'll find out,
I mean, let me know, I mean, I can get
Yeah.
there.
right,
She's gonna let me, I talked to, Andrea, I think, who worked with Alice Swan today about how I'm gonna run the election, but she had also said, I can also ask her, while I'm setting up for elections, I could probably set up, half the room.
Right.
yeah.
And just kind of, everyone just helps me move over
Mhm.
the
Right.
next night.
yeah,
I
'cause
think you're right, yeah.
we're gonna be
I
up
think
against
that's-
that wall from one end to the other,
Yeah.
if every one of us has one table.
Well, I mean, they had separate tables, they had,
Yeah, like had those tables, right,
I
separated?
think they had, I can't remember if there was one or two, there was one person per table.
Yeah.
Wow.
And tables for the whole board.
It was like
They were
staggered
three
in
deep.
rows.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were 3 deep.
Yeah, so, okay.
Yeah, you need any help with that, let me know.
Thank
I mean,
you.
I'll certainly do
Yeah.
what I can to come in and help.
I'm a little nervous, but I think it'll be fine, no one will know, I'll just, you know, just you guys.
Yeah,
No one knows when you screw up, only you do.
yeah, you guys just look frazzled, trying to keep
It was
track of everything.
hard.
Yeah, trying to, and then when they finally gave you the walkie-talkies,
It seemed to go a little bit better,
yeah.
you know.
So we have the ability to borrow some walkies, right, maybe from the fire department or something?
Yeah, I can get you
somewhere?
radios from the fire department.
Yeah.
Or
You
unless
can-
the school, I don't know where they got theirs.
Jamie might, is it Jamie Johnson, right?
Yeah.
He might be able
Buying
to.
a 4-pack of those things are,
Those family radio
oh,
things.
they're next to nothing now, so.
These were nice radios, these were Motorola,
Oh, wow.
they had 8 of them, I think.
Yeah, very clear.
Because that way, towards the end, there was no running, you know, it was, 40 yes,
Yeah,
you know.
they just went to every room, it was kinda like, they knew, library went first, cafeteria.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would suggest is that we don't make Durwood walk all the way around, like, you know, cause the guy that was running it was off on the wall,
Yeah.
and he'd write all the numbers down and he had them, and then he would give it to Durwood, and Durwood would walk all the way back to the podium, say the
Oh,
numbers, and it's like, why isn't that guy over there closer, or vice versa, and have, but,
Mm,
you know, we just wanna make it a little bit easier for him, and that's all a waste of time doing that stuff.
yeah, agreed.
Did everybody
You can use
vote
the
yes?
That's what I was just about to say.
What's that?
We could use the exercise.
He was good about it, he really was.
It's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might not be a bad idea to reverse, put Durwood at the door of
That's
the
what
gym,
I was thinking of too, reverse it the other way around.
you know?
so
the
put you
Durwood's
guys in the
closest to
back
hall.
wall? No, you guys would be,
Yeah, but then you wouldn't be able to use the
Bleachers.
bleachers.
yeah, but would we really think we're gonna need them?
Okay, but they can still use the bleachers if we put Durwood.
Like, we only have
closer
50
this way.
people in there
Because
anyway.
he doesn't, I mean, we could, where we sit, and Durwood could be in front of us, closer